Welcome to the Happy Disruptors podcast. If you're a creative thinker with an unconventional approach to your industry, you just might be a happy disruptor. Join your friends at the Great Outdoors Foundation for honest conversations about tackling critical issues like conservation with an uncritical disposition. If you like to smile and get things done, this is the podcast for you.
Hello, and welcome back to the Happy Disruptors podcast. I'm Katie Hartman.
And I'm Hannah Inman.
And today we are once again joined by one of our beloved colleagues, Melissa Campbell, who is the Senior Project Manager and oversees the Conservation Acceleration Fund, which is what we are going to be focusing our time on for today. So before we jump in to conservation as it is today, I want to spend some time on the background of where this idea came from and why this mechanism was developed. So, Hannah, can you share some insight on the upstream, downstream stakeholder groups that were formed and who identified funding as this critical area of focus?
Yeah, so the Great Outdoors Foundation, we were coming to a time where we had sort of launched Icon Water Trails. And if you'll remember, part of the promise that the board and the organization made for launching and going into Icon Water Trails is we felt that it was an important part of building that conservation ethic and really acting as a catalyst for more water quality. Yeah. And so as that project started to get legs and it was happening, we realized that there needed to be more action around water quality up and downstream. And we didn't assume that we knew all the answers. And so before we started, we engaged with Afton Holt with Corner Post Marketing. And we were like, she works a lot in rural Iowa with ag industry. And we wanted to make sure that we really understood where water quality was at and what our stakeholders were thinking. Yeah. We didn't want to assume that we knew. So we had over 100 conversations with everyone from boots on the ground to producers to agronomists to C-suite industry leaders and other NGOs. Over 100 conversations, and they all said the same thing. They all 100% were not satisfied with Iowa's water quality, and they were not satisfied with Iowa's approach to water quality, which gave us a really interesting way to engage, right? And through those conversations, we saw really that there were a couple of threads that all the burdens were sort of coalescing around, and that was implementation, finding the right people to do the jobs, or the burdens that existed to actually implement projects were pretty considerable. And then funding, there wasn't consistent funding. The funding that was there last year maybe wouldn't be there, so it didn't allow for a lot of planning. And in any business, planning is when you're doing capital outlays is incredibly important. And then education, and not education in the form necessarily of field days, but if you wanted to do water quality on your farm, you would have to go to probably 6 or 7 different websites, offices, and you'd have to dig. And so we then formed a task force with those same people around those 3 things. And as we were going through that process, we really realized quickly that there was a gap that existed. And it was really around funding. So there was a lot of funding lines, whether they were through the federal government or state government, but local jurisdictions and local farmers had to have some skin in the game. And that was really hard in rural Iowa, where maybe they didn't have a huge population or huge tax base to be able to have that local match. And so we thought, what if we did this fund? We had a lot of investors, a lot of corporate investors that wanted to have an impact in our own backyard. regarding water quality. They wanted it to be something positive. So could we use a fund to provide sort of that gap funding that would allow us to leverage additional federal and state funds? And that's really how the Conservation Acceleration Fund got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about really those conversations were happening maybe 2022, 2023.
Yeah,
maybe
I
even
think
before.
So I think it was October 2023. Jen Cross and I were sitting at a bar in DC after a long day of meetings and saying, what can we do? Because we're really trying to find a way that I don't think a lot of people understand that it's not just a farmer decides, I want to put a wetland in, or I want to do a saturated buffer.
Yeah.
And they can just snap their fingers and have it happen. There's a lot of steps and a lot of red tape. And so we were in DC at that time trying to remove some of that burden.
So, Melissa, I'm curious. Obviously, your background is heavily technical. You've worked on the public side, you've worked in consulting, and I would imagine a lot of what Hannah is sharing probably resonates with you as someone who is seeking funding for these projects. So would you say, like, as we're thinking about these parallel tracks of, we've got great conservation organizations and entities who are trying to get these practices on the ground, funding and funding adjacent issues continue to be a barrier?
Yeah, it's something that I would see in my line of work. And I worked in environmental consulting for about 6 years. And in that time, we'd see a lot of cities, county conservation groups, environmental groups come and just say, I've got this great project. And it really was a great project. I mean, it had all the components. There was water quality, there was community benefits, and the funding wasn't there. Like, there would be some component of funding. There would be some city funding, usually some state funding. Sometimes we got federal funding, but it was never enough. And there was always some piece of that project that nobody wanted to fund.
Yeah.
You know, if there's stream mitigation or wetland mitigation or land acquisition was a hard one. And it's like you'd see this great property, at least great in terms of wetland development, or a great spot for stream restoration. It's like, like if we could just get that land purchased.
Right.
And so the funding part, that has been a challenge. Still something that we're working on, but and so coming into this role and seeing how the private sector has stepped up and has been able to help in that capacity has been great. And just all the partnerships, and every partner brings something to the table, and that's what I've really enjoyed, is that it isn't just we're going to provide all the services, as in the private sector, we try to do as much as we can internally.
Yeah.
And of course we do too, but we also want to bring our partners in, and not only like if they have funding, but then if they have, a certain technical background, or if they have an education or training program that we can bring into a project that we're working on. Like, there's so many different ways that we can work together. So it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think, if you look at water quality and improving water quality, it's such a complex issue. So it's probably going to take a fairly complex solution as well, right? So I think it's been cool to see the way that the Conservation Acceleration Fund has been able to fill that niche in the ecosystem of folks who are working on improving water quality. Because, we don't have someone on our team who's designing wetlands or, doing farmer outreach, but we have really great partners who are, and if we can support them, all the better.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even just today, we were having a conversation with two partners about offering education to those that are reaching out to farmers that want to do water quality, and just the amount of partners that are offering it, but we're not all offering the same things.
Yeah.
So it requires us to be like closely aligned, work really well together. But I think in the end, it always makes a better project when you do it that way.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I think just out of necessity, organizations and entities start building these solutions in silos conventionally. And over the last few years, we've really seen those barriers be broken down. And I think, even back to the podcast name, The Happy Disruptors, that can often be the role that we're playing when we look at a situation is how can we take what you are already doing and bring in another partner or bring in a solution and make this more effective or scalable or replicable. So it's even beyond just the funding component. It's sort of that like different approach that, other maybe public entities don't have that kind of flexibility or freedom to
or
operate.
don't know about it.
Absolutely don't have the access to it.
I feel like coming in, I had no idea everything that GOF was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I work for GOF, but I will have to say that like you guys have done a great job in opening up my eyes to everything that, like all the possibilities as far as partners and resources that are out there and bringing those together. And I think, like those meetings we had today, yes, everyone's offering a little bit different service or training or education opportunity, outreach event, whatever it is. But if we can piece that together and make the ultimate package, I guess, for, whoever that audience is, then I feel like we can, do some great things.
It's like the football team analogy. I mean, everybody in Iowa is a football fan. So if we only had quarterbacks on a team, or if we only had offensive line or defensive line, like that would probably not be a super effective team, or just like one player on the field trying to accomplish the same goal. But when you get all of those specialties working at full capacity, it really does start to scale up the impact pretty quickly.
For sure.
So that's a great segue into our conversation around the Conservation Acceleration Fund and its performance metrics thus far. So I'm going to read off some numbers. They're kind of astounding to me, and you guys are probably unfazed by them at this point. But to date, the CAF has secured more than $7 million in private funding investments for water quality, infrastructure initiatives, et cetera. Those $7 million, and actually less than those $7 million because we haven't spent down the endowment, have unlocked $45 million in conservation infrastructure. Those dollars activated 105 water quality projects across the state, and they, in their lifetime, will mitigate 3.8 million pounds of nitrogen from our waterways. Wow.
In 2 years?
Yeah. And really, so yeah, 2024 was kind of the first year that we actually had funding on the ground, would you say? I mean, we were fundraising in 23, but 2024 and 2025, I mean, that's 105 projects. We had John Swanson on the podcast earlier this year, and he talked about being excited about 2 1 year, and that's not to to diminish that, but 105, and we're talking about some really sophisticated projects. So maybe now's a good time to dig into those. What have been some of your favorites this year?
I like doing projects at scale. So we've done a lot of larger scale projects, the grade stabilization projects, providing the ponds for those farmers across a very large area. Being able to just do that in one big project has been awesome. But then also, I think my favorite project was for City of Dunlap. So small community, and they applied for an IDALS WQI urban demonstration grant. So doing a wetland, maybe it was 2 wetlands, no, 1 wetland, 2 bioretention cells, and then a forebay going into an existing pond. So what we would call a treatment train. So we've got several.
I just love that so much. Treatment train. It's going to be everywhere. You're going to be hearing about it.
That's right. Yes, it's a new thing. So multiple practices, treating, I think it was almost 300 acres of agricultural runoff. So all going to this spot, and there was 2 entry points. So it's treating water at several points along the way before it goes into a pond. And then that pond has some holding time, offering additional water quality benefits and settling out some of that soil. So that one was a cool project because we were able to provide or cover the city's match, and then IDALS covered the rest. And for a small community like that with a smaller budget, they're so excited about the project. And then knowing that we can come in and cover their portion, they're also making pond improvements, so they do have some skin in the game there, and so they're doing their own work. But to be able to cover their portion has been awesome.
Back to this project. I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. You said over 300 acres of
Runoff. Yep.
Mitigated, which
capturing.
is really, really significant. And a great example of capital stacking. You know, the intention with the Conservation Acceleration Fund isn't to just come in and, you know, wholeheartedly fund a project. We're really looking at, exactly like you were saying, projects that are being held up by a nominal amount in comparison to the rest of the project cost of how can we get this on the ground and get it moving for our partners.
Yeah, and the cost of that project compared to when you consider the drainage area and how many acres it was draining to that spot.
Yeah.
I think it was it was a huge return on our investment. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, on the capital stacking, it's great to be able to come in and cover the entire cost of a project, but it's even better when we can leverage other sources of funding, and public funding is one that we rely on quite a bit, and they often require that match.
Absolutely.
So it's great to come in and help out.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up the return on investment. You know, the Conservation Acceleration Fund guarantees a minimum 4-to-1 public-private match for all of our investors, which right there is, you know, an incredibly effective funding mechanism. But actually our collective average is a 6-to-1
That's what I thought. Yeah.
return, which is
It's better
fantastic. And some of those projects are actually like 14-to-1, which is really astounding. But when you average all of those together, I mean, a 6-to-1 match in terms of funding, that is really significant.
It's a great investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to get that kind of return. Give me.
Right.
I should become an investor. Just kidding. Wrong tax bracket. So we've talked obviously about where the CAF came from, and just briefly highlighted some of the projects from this year. But I do want to look ahead to what's coming in the future, 2026. And I know we can't get into specifics, but maybe generally, the CAF has historically invested in infrastructure, but I know that there are several initiatives that are kind of looking at conservation from a systems approach. So maybe talk to us about that and how that will be able to move the needle on conservation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we discovered pretty early, I mean, I guess it's only been 2 years, but we discovered pretty early that we could do project after project. And although we have great benefits, as you referenced earlier, the projects that changed the delivery mechanism or the infrastructure of how to deliver conservation always seemed to have a larger impact than just nitrogen reduced or water replenished. And so we really started focusing a portion of our work on how do we do more of that. So a good example is one of the first projects we funded were John Swanson's Batch and Build. And at that time, it was the first time that it was done. It is now 25 states are doing it. It's totally changed the delivery mechanism of conservation. So we are now addicted to changing the system. We want to do more of that. So, and we had Steve from CoBank on earlier, but one of the things that will be launched this next year as a pilot program is our sustainability linked loan product through CoBank. And it'll be offered to co-ops. And if they meet certain key performance indicators that are defined by us and partners, then that will be a interest rate reduction on their operational loan in the form of a rebate check, which allows them to reinvest in their conservation agronomists as well as, reinvest in the farmers that are doing these conservation products. And I love that model because it starts to make conservation part of a business bottom line. It's paying. It's paying for the farmer. It's paying for the co-op. It's making the business case for conservation in the immediate. But also, why is CoBank doing that, right? They know that farmers that farm sustainably and co-ops that encourage sustainability in the long term are a lower risk client. And so for us, we see this as the perfect marriage of starting to change the system, change the delivery mechanism, and make it more about the economics that will also have a double bottom line of long-term economics to the farm because you're reinvesting in the soil. So we're very excited about that project. That's one we've been working on for almost a year. We're almost ready to launch that, but that's one that I see being a big time game changer in the industry, not just in Iowa, but nationwide.
And some of those KPIs that we're looking at are looking at in-field practices, the edge of field practices, the wetlands, saturated buffers. What's the other one that I'm missing? Saturated buffers?
Nitrogen stabilizers.
Yeah, nitrogen stabilizers. So just, reporting out on those and tracking those metrics and being able to show those outcomes is going to be great.
Yeah, we've got a lot coming up. We have Watershed 26, which also, the Conservation Acceleration Fund plays a huge role in that. I'm super excited to see all of these partners physically come to this water quality summit where we'll be able to tackle these issues together and highlight some of the successes of our partners. And there's been continued work behind the scenes with the upstream, downstream partners that you referenced earlier, Hannah. So we'll have Afton Holt on the podcast to talk more about that.
Yeah, the Watershed 26, I think, isn't going to be really interesting because when you talk about the uniqueness of the Conservation Acceleration Fund and the role that the Great Outdoors Foundation plays, I feel like that's just a physical demonstration of that because we're going to have tracks that are going to address science and data and technical assistance. Those young influencers that are coming into conservation and making a big change and are becoming an increasingly big voice. Conservation financing, whether it's investments or financiers, and just corporate sustainability partners, in addition to those projects that are multi-benefits, right? Stacked benefits like Icon water trails and things like that. And so it's a cross sector that will be there, all talking about water quality in a way that is solutions driven, which is so exciting. I mean, I am so excited just to have all those people together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely all of our partners and our future partners. I think it's going to be a really exciting couple days.
I feel like we're going to solve Iowa's water quality problems at this summit.
No pressure.
Everyone's going to be there.
I know. Well, it really is. It's meant to be like a big brainstorm, a whiteboarding session, if you will.
We should have whiteboards everywhere.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up for the day. So, of course, we're going to close with our Let's Whiteboard It segment. And this episode happens to be releasing on Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Listeners, we are so thankful for you. We have already, this is mind-blowing to me. We've had over 1,000 listens so far, which, thanks so much for tuning in every week. We hope it's been valuable to all of you. But when Thanksgiving rolls around, of course, we're all thinking about what we're going to be eating. So what are maybe your 1 or 2 must-haves on your Thanksgiving dinner or lunch plate? Bonus points if they're sourced from Iowa, although not required. While Hannah and Melissa are drawing, writing, who knows,
draw it. That's
their Thanksgiving favorites, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Follow along with the Great Outdoors Foundation on all major social platforms, and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. That is our most often used vehicle for delivering new announcements and updates. That's where you can learn more about Watershed 26 and project recaps on what the CAF is doing. So make sure to subscribe, and you could just head to our website to do that. Are you guys ready? Oh, I love...
My drawing is very terrible on
I
this.
can't tell whether that was a look of pride or
You were going to be like,
Or
what
embarrassment.
is this
Confusion.
drawing? Are you not drawing today?
I'm not. I kind of have transitioned away from drawing because I always felt like
Oh.
I was cheating a little bit. Like, it's like, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dinner
Yeah.
item? I'm so glad you asked. And then I just like turn it around
What
because
is
I've
your
been
favorite
thinking about it.
Thanksgiving item?
Oh man, my mom makes amazing homemade stuffing. That's like a old family recipe, and then I also love fresh cranberry sauce.
Me too.
And the turkey's kind of just
Yeah.
The
how I
better
get it,
question is
yeah.
what you don't like.
what I don't like. I mean, shoot,
I know, right?
I don't know if there is anything that I don't eat, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least Thanksgiving wise.
agree.
Yeah. If you had fish at Thanksgiving, I probably wouldn't eat it, but otherwise,
Yeah, that would be
I'm
right.
good. All right, who wants to go first?
Well, I have terrible drawing. So first of all, thank you for listening.
Yes.
So I love fresh cranberry relish. I make it oranges, cranberries, a lot of sugar. It's very good.
Absolutely.
And then our family, this is like a very old school, like very niche, like family tradition, but we make homemade noodles that we put on the mashed potatoes.
Yes.
And I think it's a Mennonite. My grandparents were Mennonite. I think it's a Mennonite tradition, but that's everybody's favorite. And we spend the days before hand making all the noodles all together. So that's my favorite thing.
I think
Fun.
it is Mennonite / Amish that
Yeah.
we do the same thing. There's a really, really large Amish community in my
Yeah.
hometown, and so that's another favorite.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Mine is turkey. I love to
Oh.
make turkey, and I feel like I do a pretty good job at it. So
Wait, time out. How many legs does your turkey have?
definitely has 4. I don't get that close to turkeys, so
I love that. Yeah, you're right.
they could have 4. Maybe they're just hidden. This is a special turkey.
It is.
This is Butterball's new line of
Yeah,
turkeys.
they're like, it's
That's our
upgraded.
genetically modified
So
turkey.
what's your secret to your turkey? Because everyone does it differently.
I follow a Martha Stewart recipe, and
So
there's
do you do the
parsnips
queen?
and
Do you do the
turnips.
cheesecloth soaked in butter?
Yes, I think that's the key.
Okay.
It works.
Do you
Yum.
brine your turkey beforehand?
Sometimes. I don't know if there's much difference though.
Yeah, agreed.
It's the cheesecloth.
The
Butter
cheesecloth is
soaked.
super.
Yeah, butter soaked, yep. And then orange fluff. I feel like that's
Oh my gosh.
Okay, say more about orange fluff.
Do you know what orange
there's-
fluff is?
Yeah.
This is a very Iowa thing. I didn't know what fluff was until I got to Iowa.
Okay, tell me more.
It's Cool Whip, Jello, mandarin oranges.
oh,
I
yeah.
think there might be pineapple in it. Whatever fruit's on hand, whatever canned
Absolutely.
fruit there is.
And everyone has like a different specialty fluff. Like
Amazing.
one of Mike's relatives would make a green fluff, and like
Yes.
I am
yeah.
not like a fluff. Like I don't love fluff, and if it's green, I'm definitely not going to try it. So I
Right.
don't know if it's like lime or pistachio.
yeah.
Oh,
it might
yeah.
I
be.
think there's both.
Yeah,
And marshmallows. There's
I guess
marshmallows
I
in
will
there too.
say I feel like my aunt made a cherry fluff growing up, but that's like
So many
a
variations.
recovered memory.
like when Hy-Vee used to have the salad bars,
Yeah.
they would have different fluff on each salad bar.
Yes, I do feel like this is the kind of dessert that, like, if we were visiting Isaac's family in South Dakota,
Yes.
his grandma would be like, "I forgot to put the salad out." And
Yeah.
she comes out with whipped cream and
Not what you're
tapioca. It's like,
expecting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now that you're hungry, we hope that you go and enjoy a lovely Thanksgiving meal with your loved ones. And we'll be back next week with another episode of The Happy Disruptors. Bye.